This week on Africa Weekly, we focus on the Tunisian students turning their back to a dress code that's just for girls. We meet the South African dog trainer hoping to lead the way to a more peaceful future. And we travel to Ghana, where one of the world's largest electronic waste dumps is seeing toxic scraps being turned into art. But first, a summary of the stories that made the headlines this week. The Catholic Church in the Democratic Republic of Congo has denounced what it called police brutality after a crackdown by authorities on New Year's Eve demonstrations turned deadly.
This must further strengthen us, comfort us in our conviction that this is the beginning of the end of the dictatorship in our country.
On Sunday, Catholic and opposition groups defied a ban on demonstrations, demanding that President Joseph Kabila leave office. Police fired tear gas into churches and bullets in the air to break up gatherings. Protesters claimed that at least a dozen people were killed, although police said that no deaths occurred. The protests took place on the first anniversary of a church-brokered deal under which Kabila was scheduled to leave office in 2017 after fresh elections. The poll has since been postponed until December 2018. Authorities in the oil-rich Equatorial Guinea say they have thwarted a coup attempt against President Teodoro Obiang, Africa's longest-serving leader. Government troops shot one alleged mercenary following reported clashes near the border with Cameroon. After his initial victory speech was cancelled because of an excessively boisterous crowd, Liberia's president-elect George Weah told journalists that he planned to prioritise the needs of the people.
I declare publicly today that transforming the lives of all Liberians is a singular mission and focus of my presidency.
The former football star secured a stunning runoff victory in the country's first democratic transfer of power in decades, beating his rival, Liberian Prime Minister Joseph Boakai. Weah will be sworn in on the 22nd of January, replacing Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who has been in power for 12 years. South Africa's Constitutional Court has ruled that Parliament failed to hold President Jacob Zuma to account over a scandal related to state-funded upgrades to his home. Opposition parties had gone to the Constitutional Court to argue that the Speaker of Parliament failed to enforce the appropriate processes to censor Zuma over the scandal. The ruling is expected to pile pressure on the beleaguered leader to resign ahead of the end of his term as state president in 2019. In his New Year address, Togolese President Faure Gnassingbé broke his silence after months of protests against his rule.
My dear compatriots, dialogue must remain the preferred way of resolving disagreements between political actors.
Gnassingbé, who has ruled Togo since 2005 after succeeding his father, who led the country for 38 years, plans to hold a referendum on the revision of the constitution that imposes a presidential limit of 2 terms. But the revision has been rejected by the opposition because it would not be retroactive, meaning that Gnassingbé could run again in 2020 and 2025.
With a light scarf and a windbreaker over blue jeans, Siwar considers her school ensemble complete. But according to official Tunisian regulations, she's still missing her blouse, required of all schoolgirls. Siwar and her friends at Bizerte Public School refuse to wear it.
The blouse itself is not the problem. The problems that we try to criticize are the reasons why the blouse is worn only by girls. If the blouse was imposed on everyone, there would be no criticism.
Authorities say the blouse aims to erase social inequalities between students, and refusing to wear it may result in a student's expulsion. But these girls find the rule hypocritical, especially since the 2014 Constitution stipulates equality between men and women.
It conveys a terrible message. For me, it's really a message that says women's bodies are at the service of men, and so girls must stay covered so that boys will remain calm, so that they're not distracted by these young girls' bodies.
Tunisia is considered a pioneer in the region for women's rights, and the government officially endorses gender equality. But parts of society remain conservative, and the authorities say they want to be inclusive as the country changes.
There is a movement. Tunisian society is changing, and the mindset of students is changing too. We must accept it and try to manage it. The Ministry of Education should not be the only one supervising this. It is necessary to involve all the stakeholders in this debate so that the issues are collective and that the solutions can satisfy everyone.
Tunisia experienced a political revolution in 2011, ending 23 years of dictatorship. For Siwar and her friends, their personal fashion revolution is only just beginning.
Every Friday, Sichle attends classes to train his dog. He learns as much as his pet does, how to communicate, respect, and understand his canine friend. That's the main goal of the Funda Nenja Association, whose name means learning alongside your dog in Zulu.
I learned to love a dog, to not hit your dog, and your dog must get clean water.
Adrienne Oliver founded the association 8 years ago to help mistreated dogs in the townships, who are often used for hunting or security purposes. She soon discovered the benefits of dog training, especially for children who live in a climate of fear, where gangs, drugs and violence are an everyday occurrence.
In the early days, we focused primarily on the dogs. We were very concerned about improving animal welfare in the township. But we very soon came to realize that in order to help the dogs, we had to help the children.
According to a recent study, more than half of South African children experience physical violence at home or at school. Funda Nenja hopes to break that violent cycle by teaching young people in Mapopo Meni to train their dogs without the use of force.
Dogs are a man's best friend, because I never used to believe in that saying. I just used to have dogs. But then as time progressed, I started to know how dogs really feel and how to interpret different signs. If a dog is happy or is scared, now I know.
So far, the dog training has been successful, with around 100 young participants each week. The safe and friendly environment is a much-needed respite from some of the harsher realities some of the dogs and their owners are forced to face.
The sprawling wasteland of Agbogbloshie in Accra is one of the world's largest electronic waste dumps. Workers inhale toxic fumes as they salvage copper and other metals to resell by burning unwanted appliances such as mobile phones and computers. Their plight and the electronic scraps inspired student Joseph Awadako to strive for change.
It's true that Agbogbloshie is the result of negative externalities from, dumping by more developed European countries, but I chose to see the opportunity within the mess.
Last year he co-founded the Abogblo Shine initiative, which teaches workers to transform the waste into top-of-the-range furniture. Ghana is said to have the largest informal recycling industry in Africa, importing some 40,000 tonnes of e-waste annually.
I don't really think the future of Agbogbloshie is that it will be confined to a waste dump. I think that it will be transformative. It will become a hub for design thinking to kind of create value-added mechanisms and value-added products from the waste.
Agbogbloshie's workers are also optimistic about the initiative.
But this one we are suffering for a year.
We're suffering here because of the heat and the smoke. So if we see better work elsewhere, we'll leave this and go and do it.
We'll join it and leave this one.
2 high-end hotels in Accra are currently vying to buy the project's first upscaled work. A grandfather clock made from a galvanized car axle, aluminium and part of a discarded wall clock. In the future, Joseph believes around 100 workers could leave their harmful jobs to build furniture, transforming the toxic dump and creating opportunities for a better life.
Liverpool and Egypt striker Mohamed Salah completed an awards hat-trick when he won the African Player of the Year award at the annual Confederation of African Football Awards ceremony in Accra. The 25-year-old star has recently been voted BBC African Footballer of the Year and Arab Player of the Year. Next week we take you to Soweto, where the toxic legacy of the 19th century gold rush is putting the lives of tens of thousands of South Africans in danger. That's all from us at Africa Weekly. Until next week.